Hi, I'm Joel, and I'm going to show you how to create and use an opacity channel in Substance Painter, and import that asset into Unity. To start, open the Texture Set settings, and at the top right under Channels, click the plus sign and add an opacity channel. Next, before we get to painting, you must make sure you have assigned a shader with alpha blending. Otherwise, when you attempt to create a transparent portion, nothing will happen, as you can see here. Now I'll undo that brush stroke. So to do this, we have to go into shader settings, and in this case, we will select the PBR metal rough with alpha blending shader. When you enable opacity on a layer, as it is by default, we can disable or enable it. We'll keep it enabled for obvious reasons. You can determine the level opacity with the slider down here, where white is fully opaque and black is completely transparent. Now we can paint whatever we wish. And you can see it's transparent. When you're finished, you can export the texture by going File and Export Textures. For the output directory, select the folder where you wish to save the texture files. In my case, I have a folder in my assets named Textures. Next, for the output template, choose the Unity HD render pipeline metallic standard. Finally, we can click Export and open up Unity when that's done. Here we are in Unity with my object in the scene. I also have a simple file structure here, just to keep organized. While this isn't necessary, it is highly recommended. I saved my textures from Substance Painter in the Textures folder. You can see that there's 3 of them here. And for the purpose of this demonstration, all I need is the albedo or color map, so I'm going to go ahead and delete these extra textures. Just know that whatever other textures you use shouldn't affect this process. So feel free to use a normal map or an ambient occlusion map or any other texture in addition to the color map for your material if you would like. Next, I'm going to go Materials, right-click, and Create, and select Material, and give the material a name. Next, we will assign the material to our object by clicking on the object in the hierarchy menu and dragging and dropping our material onto it in the inspector. Next, to assign our color map to this material, click on the material, go to your texture, and drag and drop the color map into the albedo field. Now, you may notice that despite the transparent sections in our color map, the in-game object is still fully opaque. This is because we need to change the rendering mode for the material. If you click on the rendering mode at the top right, a drop-down menu will appear with 4 options. By default, it's set to opaque, which is why we aren't seeing any transparency in our object. Now, if we change it to cutout, we will see it's working. Cutout is used for materials that have hard edges, like a torn piece of fabric or a leaf. Fade is used in situations where you want to control the transparency of an object so that the material is uniformly affected by its opacity. Note that this includes specular highlights, which makes this unsuitable for use as a material for plastic or glass. This rendering mode is mainly useful for creating an animation of an object fading in or out, as it will do so uniformly. And lastly, transparent is used for transparent materials such as glass or plastic. Just note that when selecting this mode, the specular highlights on the object will still display normally according to the object's geometry, unlike cutout, which will prevent the specularity from rendering where there is no opacity. If we select this, you can see there's a tiny bit of specular highlight on the object. I'm Joel from Very Nice Games. Thanks for watching.